everybody. Welcome back to another episode of LAconic with myself, Danny, and my co-host, Adam, back at it again.
Yeah, guys, we're all in this, back at it again, and we're ready to...
Got a new episode.
Yeah, a new episode, and ready to speak some...
But yeah, we started off the last episode talking about New Year's resolutions, or really just goal setting in general, kind of trying to get people's opinions on that and seeing what they thought about goal setting and how they were doing it. We heard from some people that gave us some feedback about what they did. We tasked you guys to let us know on social media. We did like a little poll and stuff like that. So it was great to see that feedback. We appreciated that. It was good to see some people getting going on that. And I kind of took some things I learned from Adam. I didn't know when we were recording that he said he did, and I was like, hey, you know what? I want to try that. So I've been doing those too, and it's been great. But this week, we wanted to talk about a topic that was a little personal for both of us, and that is the topic of like essentially self-criticism or like putting yourself down, and really kind of the dangers of that and like how it really affects the way that you think and the way that you feel. And so, we wanted to kind of dive into that, how it affected us and how we both try to overcome that in our own ways. But I wanted to thank you guys again for listening. And if you don't already follow us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at @B_Laconic. That's BE_Laconic, LACONIC. And again, we are LAconic. We're a podcast talking about motivational, inspirational things, just things we want to talk about and share with you guys, some experiences that we've had, and also bring on some guests to share their experiences if we have someone that's more kind of, experienced on the topic that we're discussing for that week. But again, you can follow us on social media at @B_Laconic on both locations. And then, of course, you can subscribe to our podcast on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. We're on Amazon Podcasts. We are on Spotify, Apple, etc. So just search for LAconic or LAconic Podcast and you will find us. But thanks for subscribing. Thanks for listening, guys. And again, if you have any feedback at all, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button and also subscribe on YouTube and leave a comment below. And if you're on another podcasting platform, please go ahead and leave us a rating or any kind of comment. It really helps get the word out and helps us on the podcast as far as knowing how we're doing. So we really do appreciate that. But yes, again, our topic this week is discussing self-criticism and how that does affect you as a person. And really kind of how we change that ourselves and move forward from that as well too. But so I think I'll let Adam start with this one because this was his idea of a topic. It was a good one. And so I was going to pass it to him and let him kind of start the conversation on this one. So
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, the topic was really going to be about, your self-doubt. And, I just, over time, like, anytime I ever made a goal or did a goal, like, it's going back to our goals topic, I would do a goal, and if I didn't complete it, like, I would like call myself so many like names, and I would say I'm stupid, I'm slow, like I can't believe I can't finish like some goal like this. And it's like I like beat myself up for it, and it really affected me. Like it affected my mood, it affected who I was as a person. I didn't like feel like I was equal to people, so it really just brought me down. And it was all just self-conscious in my own head, where shit that wasn't true. It was things that I would tell myself and I will believe it when it was all just like all made up things. And I will struggle with this. I'll beat myself up for anything. I've always been so hard on myself, so it's like knowing that being so hard on yourself, it's good for times to motivate you, but not to beat yourself up for it. And there's anything that I did wrong was definitely doing that, and I'm still working on it. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because I wanted to talk about how it's not cool to beat yourself up for small things, or like praise yourself more. Like you deserve to praise yourself. You need to praise yourself, give yourself a pat. It's not about like being self-conceited or anything. It's more about just praising yourself. You need that. People love that. People love feeling like the love, or feeling like you're smart. Tell yourself you're smart, instead of just like telling yourself you're stupid. You're gonna once you start thinking something so much, you start believing it. And it's like, do you really want to believe that? It was kind of one of those things for me where I would constantly put myself down like, oh, I'm slow, only because I didn't understand something right away. I thought I was really slow, and it's like, no, I just don't understand that. It's something new to me. Like, I'm like, not everyone can just learn something on, just quick like that. So I just really wanted to, knock down on how that even makes someone feel. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a victim of it.
Yeah, I feel
doing
like
it all the time. So
yeah, I can relate to that for sure. I think anyone listening to this can relate to that. How many times do you walk into, maybe you walk into a new social setting that you're not really comfortable with. You don't know the people there. Maybe you're meeting new people. Maybe you're on a date. Maybe you're, at a new job. And then you do something that's a little embarrassing. And then you tell yourself, oh, God, I'm so stupid. Like, why did I do that? Or like you have this like immediate just negative thought. And rather than like, we don't ever give ourselves a break, I think is what you were kind of saying. It's like we always start like immediately just defaulting to criticism about like, like I said, you embarrass yourself. You're like, oh, I'm so stupid. Or maybe you're, you're at the gym or you're in school and you're trying to reach a milestone and you're just like, oh man, I'm not strong enough, or I don't have enough drive, or I'm not smart enough. And it's so easy to kind of just default all the time to the negative talk because it's like your knee-jerk reaction. I don't know why, like, we're kind of all built that way. It's
we really
weird.
are. I mean, it's like the same thing where, like, not like kind of going with some topic. It's the same thing like when you're mad or upset, you listen to upset music and like sad music, and it's like, what? Why would you do that? And I do it all the time, and I'm like, why am I listening to sad music while I'm sad? Shouldn't I be trying to, get out of that hump and try to be happy?
You want to relate to it.
Yeah, you want to relate to it, and it's like, I mean, go on. I mean,
no, I was just gonna say, like, I agree, and I think that you don't realize the negative psychological effects that it has when you do constant negative criticism on yourself. You can't see, your own value, your own worth. You can't see, your potential because you're just putting yourself down. You're putting yourself down, and even if you do something that's good, like sometimes you always, you'll just also default like, oh, it wasn't good enough, or you're not celebrating in the victory on it. Yeah. And so I feel like when you really start to realize that you're doing that, for one, whether it's through the help of someone else or whether it's through, you just hearing it in through a medium like this, and then like trying to be more cognizant of like how often you're actually saying that and like when you're actually doing it, then you realize like, wow, I do this like all the time. I didn't even like know about it. And I think that was like a good way for me. Like when I first was thinking about it, I kind of like made a note in my phone every single time I did it throughout the day, and then like just as a note to see like how many times I did do it.
Like put yourself down and
yeah. Or like defaulted to that negative talk about absolutely. Like something. Yeah. And I'm just like, man. And so then you start to become more like aware of it, and then after you do that, you kind of can work toward, there's so many things you can listen to online, read about, or just there's journaling, all kinds of stuff that you can do where you're writing down gratitude, things you're thankful for, stuff like that. But it really does help when you start. It helps you to start with that mindset to kind of shift the thought process of really not defaulting to the criticism on yourself. I mean, it's okay every once in a while. Like, it's okay. It's going to happen. Like I said, it's a default thing. Like, everyone has those thoughts, right? It's going to happen sometimes. Like, you are going to feel like you're dumb if you do something to embarrass yourself. But it's, you don't want to like dwell on that, and you don't want to make that the pure focus. It's acknowledging those facts. Always accept every single thought that you have as it is, and then either tell yourself, basically correct yourself, or kind of try to change the thought process in that moment, or be like, no, yes, it's embarrassing, but this is a new situation for me, or like however you want to like kind of skew it in your mind to change that thought. But like, it's so weird when you start to really, and you see those people that post online. It's like another example, like where they're saying like body positivity, right? They're talking about like these women that are posting like pictures of themselves, and they're not, what they would have before thought was pretty, but then they like kind of learn to appreciate themselves because they stopped with the negative talk, and then they all of a sudden like love themselves, what I mean, for who they were. And I feel like that's a perfect example of like how you can really change it. And sure, someone may not agree with you and may not think that you're, the best looking person or beautiful in their eyes, but that's their opinion. And as long as you've changed that, you really changed a lot of outcome about
Oh
yourself.
man.
And I feel like you are a good example of this. Like, just when we became friends, I would always tell you, be like, man, you're so hard on yourself. Like, you're so this, you're so that. And like, you didn't realize it was happening.
I did not know. No, absolutely. No, I mean, I do remember that. Like, I ended up meeting, I met Danny, and yeah, he was just telling me, he's like, dude, like you've gone through so much, and like you've gone this far, and like, why are you so hard on yourself for? And I'm like, for me, it was just like, I was never good enough. Like, it was not good enough for me. It was like, okay, so it's like literally the same, like this topic, like it's not the same, but it's almost like the same thing as like people like not trying to switch the topic, but it's almost the same thing as people like trying to have instant gratification of something, like if they're not getting the money right away, and they've got money, but they're not getting the money that they wish they like could have. It's like they start beating themselves up for it, like, oh, I stink, like I suck, I'm not getting there fast enough. So for me, it was like the same like concept. Was like, I was beating myself up because I wasn't at the job that I wanted to be in. I wasn't at this. And I was like, everything that I did before to get me to where I was at, I didn't really care about it. But it's like, I should have, because that stuff is the reason why I got to where I was at. Was I manifested everything to get to there. So I'm like, I just had to keep that same mindset. But if I'm putting myself down, how am I moving forward? How am I using what I had in the past to get me forward? So I remember I used to do that often. And you're like, dude, know your worth, like know what you're about, and love yourself and stop being so hard on yourself. You've gone through so much. Like, half of the people cannot have possibly gone through that and like been successful through like the journey. Right. So, and you did that. So like, at least like praise yourself for that. Like, be happy that you've gotten this far. Like, and don't beat yourself up. Cause someone's told me the other time, I was like, making fun of myself and putting myself down, like, cause I didn't get something. And I was like, God, I'm so stupid. And, that person's like, what's funny? Like, why do you pick on yourself when people can do it for free for you? Like, why pick on yourself when someone can do it for free? Yeah. It's like, don't pick on yourself if someone can do it for free. Like let me pick on you. Like, I can be the person picking on you, but don't do it when someone can do it for free. Why would you do that to yourself? Like, why would, like, it's easy. Someone will easily pick on you. It's an easy thing, but why even do it on yourself? And it's like, you're your biggest, like, person, honestly. Like, your individual self is, so I took that and I was like, wow, that's so true. Like, there is people out there in this world that will do it, like, that will pick on me for free. Why do I do that to myself? Yeah. And it's just an easy thing to go back to false, to be negative. But it's like, instead, like, why not tell yourself you're smart? Why not tell yourself that you're beautiful? Why not tell, like, then you start believing it. And and things start moving when you actually really tell yourself, like, you're smart. And, great things start happening. You start manifesting things. You start finishing your goals. Like, you just constantly have to tell yourself this, like, and not put yourself down. Because when you put yourself down, what does that do? It delays everything. So.
And it's another thing too on that same topic is when you start to think that way, you also learn that you kind of see yourself differently, and you look at some of the people in your life, and then it also helps you realize and be like, wow, I don't need this person in my life. Or like, wow, like they were really adding to the level that I was thinking about myself this way. You know what I mean? Like, they were adding to that negative self-talk. They weren't trying to change the direction of that. They weren't helping me. And I think another good thing is and just in regards to this situation, like, you had that person, you had me telling you, like, know your worth, and like, hey, stop putting yourself down this way. Like, look at how you've accomplished this, this, and this, and like, think of yourself this way. And I think we can't always think about that, you know what I mean? Like, in regards to ourselves. And so, like, it sometimes does help to have that person to, like, remind you or kind of look at it from an outside perspective and be like, you've accomplished this, this, and this, and you've done this and this in your life. Like, that's amazing. Like, this is such a great accomplishment. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, I guess I never looked at it that way. Like, I guess I never thought about it that way. And then you kind of see yourself totally different. You're like, all the stuff that you've already accomplished, you're like, wow, like, this makes sense. Like, I don't know why I would think about myself in this negative light, because I look at all the stuff I have accomplished. Look what I have done. And it's like, it's so easy for anyone, like you said, to find the negative in like your own life, or it's free for people to put you down. I mean, all you have to do is post anything on social media, and someone who doesn't know you or does know you is going to say something negative
right.
about it. So it's totally free to get negative comments almost anywhere.
You can get it anywhere.
But it's weird when you start to control the situation yourself, like you were saying, and when you had that realization after we were talking about it, you were like, yeah, you know what, like I have done a lot in my life. I have reached a certain place in my life that like most people wouldn't have been able to deal with, and but I did, and I made it through that, and that's a big accomplishment. And then you start to think, wow, like that's good, like I can accomplish that, like then I know I can accomplish whatever else is coming at me. And so like that's I think what you have that realization.
Yeah.
And the importance of that. I think for myself, one of the biggest, things I always struggle with is, just the constant negative, or it's like almost self-doubt, but it's like a same thing as like being negative talk too, is like before I even start something, I'm already just telling myself that I'm gonna fail at it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm like,
yeah.
oh, like, do I really want to go on that hike? Like, I'm probably just gonna like hold these other people back, or I'm just gonna like totally fail at this. I'm not gonna be able to make it, and I'm gonna embarrass myself. Or do I really want to go like start this project? Like, I'll probably get like 20 minutes in, and then I'm just gonna not know what I'm doing. It's gonna waste my time, and not like, and then you end up not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
you've now missed out on two things just because you're talking yourself out of it, rather than actually like being like, yeah, I could do this, and if they make fun of me behind the scenes for not keeping up, like that's on them. Like, I can't do anything. I had fun when I went. Like, you just got to look at it. You have to start to kind of like control those thoughts, and it's hard. It really is hard to do that. But when you do start to do that, you really look at things differently. You look at opportunities differently. You look at your job differently. You look at your relationships differently. You look at your own self, your own self-worth differently. It's just weird how the conversation in your head can really change when you start to actually acknowledge it and try to change that. It's like I something I never tried to do until recently. You just kind of go with it. You're just like, oh man, I'm gonna suck at this, or oh man, like I'm gonna fail. Like I always fail at this. I'm never good at this kind of stuff. Like I'm not gonna try to do it. It's like, I think another good example of that was, growing up and when you first enter the gym, for instance. As like when you're first working out for the first time ever, like you go in there and you're just like so intimidated. You're like, I don't want to go like over here where these guys are like lifting free weights because I don't know really what I'm doing.
Right.
So I'm going to like embarrass myself. So I'm just going to stay over here. And so then you like prevent yourself from actually getting a decent workout because you're so embarrassed to like
avoiding all
these different situations, and you're telling yourself you're not going to do good at it.
Right.
So you're avoiding like actually getting better at those things.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've all done that.
Yeah, we have definitely. You like learn from trial and error. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we all been there. I mean, I don't know for people that do go work out, but it's like I remember being there, and I'm like lifting the machine, and I'm like the wrong machine and not doing the right thing, and people are staring at me, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so stupid. Like it's just like you
say that. Oh yeah, God, they're all looking at me.
They're looking at me so stupid, and it's like, no, you're not. You're just it's something new. Like it's not like you're stupid. It's a new thing. Like you really think a baby know how to walk right away? Like no, like it learns how to like slowly stand up and falls and gets right back up. It's the same thing with anything. I mean, even using this applying to the same concept of like I remember when I do anything like when I'm studying something and it's new to me, it's so easy for me to be like I get it, and then someone explains it and I'm just like, God, I'm so stupid, I don't even get it. It's like, no, that's not what you want to tell yourself, because then at that time, like now I already said that to myself, and now I'm really believing it, and I'm like, and then the work doesn't get done because I'm mad at myself that I'm stupid. But it's like now I'm negative, and it's like it went from something for I could have learned something, being positive about it, and taking it in an outside perspective of like maybe this is new to me. Now I don't expect anyone to know this like right away, and no one should ever expect you to know something either. Yeah. It's like it's new to you. It's like learning a new language. Yeah. And like, when you think you're dumb.
And when you get to really know someone really well, whether it's a really close friend or like a relationship, you totally can see that person doing that. Like you can see them doing that, and you can acknowledge that they're doing that, and you'd be like, why are you doing this, or why do you think that, or like what? But then you can't ever like acknowledge it yourself right away. Yeah. And so like it really does have to have that outside perspective. So if like you do have that trusted person, like whether it's a family member, a really close friend, or anyone, like you can go to them and be like, like I'm trying to be like more, cognizant or more aware of the fact that like I'm, trying to putting myself down all the time. Can you like make sure that like you keep me honest with that, or just remind me every once in a while? And I guarantee like they'll probably be totally willing to help you do that, and they'll probably give you examples of when you've done that before and when they could call you out on that.
Well, I mean, I had my friend, like, she actually was the one who told me about the what I do to myself when someone can do it for free. She told me, Adam, anytime you ever pick on yourself, please call me and I'll do it for you. Like, please, I'll do it for you. I'll pick on you. Like, let me pick on you. And it's like, I don't want to let her down. So then I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't want you to pick on me. Like, then that looks bad on me because I'm picking on me. So it's kind of keeping myself accountable. And when she will say that, I'm like, I don't want to do it. So I will not, like, I try. And I can just hear her voice in my head when I'm like, God, I'm so stupid. And I just hear her in the corner, like, I know she's there, and she's like, oh, I'll do it for free. So I'm like, oh, I can't pick on myself. Like, I gotta, so I acknowledge it now. When she said that, I was like, oh, it's like the time when people say, like, anytime you call yourself a name or something, I'm gonna give you a penny or, $1. It's like the same, like the same concept. So, I thought about that, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. But yeah, going back to, just like having a friend, keeping account, it's honesty. Yeah, it's so worth it. You used to do that with me.
Yeah, and another note I had here too was a lot of times our negative thoughts about ourselves are overly exaggerated, like, and not connected with reality at all.
It's not true.
Yeah, it's or it's just like so beyond what it actually like. There may be a bit of truth to it, and in a sense that any person can relate to that, but a lot of times it's just like completely exaggerated. Yeah, and so when you do talk it out with someone else, or if you just revisit it yourself, replacing those overly exaggerated negative thoughts with actual reality and like realistic things that are happening are really a way to kind of help start that process, because then you realize, okay, like this is so off base, like this is actually really what's going to happen, and then you'll catch yourself later on doing that, and then you can end up just doing it on the fly. Was like another one I put, and then the other one was almost like the other note I put here was about like imagining yourself in that worst situation. So if you're thinking all these thoughts that are negative, like imagine how bad it would be if these things were true. So like if you're saying, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and like, so okay, so what's the outcome of that? And when you actually imagine those things and live through it, you realize maybe it's not that bad. And so then you don't always go default to that either. So, but really, like you said, if you can, talk to someone else, have them be that third party that's removed from your own brain that's telling you to do these things, and see how you can maybe, like I can't even tell you the number of times like I think every single person, when they hear their own voice, they're like, oh, I hate my voice. I hate the way my voice sounds. I hate the way my voice sounds. Adam hates the way his voice sounds.
Which is weird, because then people tell you, I like the sound of your voice.
Exactly.
And you're like,
then you have,
ew.
And then you have other people say like, wow, your voice is like so calming, or like it's really like a great presenting voice. And you're like, what? No, it's not. It's so
yeah, but there you go. There you go. Take the compliment.
Yeah, you immediately negate it.
Yeah,
and like,
it's negative.
This can't be real, because
or like
I don't think
you look good today. It's like, no, I don't. I don't look that great. It's like, oh, come on, just stop being hard on yourself. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that.
And so then you get like people that tell you that, then be like, oh, okay, well, this is like the third person that's told me that. Like maybe I actually do think that, and then you kind of just say like, I have a good voice, like, so then someone asks you, say like, do you have a good radio voice? Like, I think so, and and people have told me that I do.
Yeah.
So then you're more confident with it, and your voice comes through that way, rather than you trying to like be unnatural and like change your voice or something. Or
I mean, honestly, a person really does not like that as much either. Like, if I know people that they'll give you a compliment, they'll stop giving you a compliment because they're just like, you're so hard on yourself. Like, you're so negative, and being negative like all the time is like, and then you start seeking for it, and you're like, oh, no one's acknowledging this. Like, maybe think about what you do when you do receive when you do receive like that compliment, or when you just instantly like are negative on yourself. like I don't know. I've noticed that too when I'm like so negative. People just stop giving you compliments because there's like you're just like negative like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I can't. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Like if anyone ever give you a compliment because you don't like accept it or acknowledge it. Just take it for what it is, and like hopefully you can believe it. Hopefully you can believe that.
Change the channel.
Yeah, like seriously, because it's like when you sit on these negative thoughts, it affects your whole day. I know these like they're so stupid, like small things. Like I'm dumb because I can't understand a term that I don't know anything about. There's the internet, like look it up and learn it, and then it's just like you're smart. Anyone that can get through life on any like especially right now during the pandemic, if you can get through this, you're like you should pat yourself in the back. You're smart. It's like it's just a thing that you have to do, and you constantly have to tell yourself that. Because if you tell yourself, like I said, you tell yourself you believe it. If you're negative and you call yourself ugly all the time, you're gonna start believing it.
Yeah.
And that's the part where you don't want to get to. You want to avoid it. And you're right. We don't know how many times we actually put ourselves down. But if you probably wrote it down, you're like, Jesus Christ, I put myself down so many times.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many times I do it, but I'm pretty sure I do at least more than 5 times a day.
It's the key to most things, like we said it before, is acceptance. And so when you start to change that conversation, you're working towards self-acceptance on a lot of things. And really that's the key to a lot of things. I myself, just being a little transparent, have had in the past problems with, anxiety. It's every once in a while it'll rear its head back again, especially during like uncertain times like we've had lately. And really the key to dealing with that, at least for myself, was through acceptance, whether it's accepting the situation, accepting the way you're feeling in that moment. And then when you do that, it really just kind of goes away. Mm-hmm. And in the moment, it feels a little scary and a little unknown. But really, when you learn to accept it like that, you overcome it. Mm-hmm. And so like I didn't learn that until like way later, unfortunately, but that is really the key, and it's the key. This will really help go towards that. Because when you're having anxiety or, depression or anything like that, of course, you always want to seek professional help if that's something that you need to do. But you'll realize that none of that stuff, as far as the negative talk and the negative thinking about yourself, is going to help any of that. Mm-hmm. And it can and if you're having like anxiety, the thoughts go rampant. You're like, why am I feeling this way? I'm so dumb. Like, what this is gonna happen. Like, you just go crazy with the negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. And so I it's true. Like, it really does help when you start to kind of change the topic on that. But I think another thing I wanted to share with them too, just from your perspective, is when you started to change the mindset and really realizing, wow, I do criticize myself. Like, I really do don't really like know my worth per se. Mm-hmm. What started to change with you physically and mentally when you started to make that mental note and then started to try to shift your behavior?
Yeah, I mean, so it was, I obviously picked on myself so many times, and, you called me out for it, and the switch that I saw was just relief and peace within myself, and it also brought my confidence up too. It's because my confidence was just like defeated from being told things, and then I started believing things, and I feel
like it also like helped your relationships with people too.
No, it did.
Like, with family.
No, it really did, because I would be so negative and be around people, and it's because I picked on myself so much. But it did start changing, like the relationships. Just everything just shifted when I just my mindset was just different. So I was more positive because I'll tell myself, I'll look back and I'll write everything down that did happen to me, or things that I accomplished that I totally forgot that I even did. And I'll write them down, and I'm like, wow, I really actually did that. Like, that's actually something that I did accomplish. So it just made me just feel a little more confident about myself. I was able to move around. And then if I heard someone tell me something, I knew it wasn't true, because it's like, they don't know me. Mm-hmm. They really don't know what I've been through. I remember I used to tell you all the time, like, they don't know me, what I've been through. They don't know, like, they probably can't even do what I did if they were in my same shoes. And I use that mindset, and because I used to believe what people would tell me, and then I'll believe it, and then I'll start picking on myself that, yeah, maybe they are right. It's like, no, they're totally wrong. Like, I let that person defeat me, but it's like I shouldn't have never let that person defeat me, because I should have known my worth. I should have loved myself, and if I would have loved myself, none of that would have happened with me picking on myself. If I really just praised myself and loved myself, who cares what someone would have told me? It wouldn't have affected me, because I would have loved myself. Like when someone calls someone fat and they're happy being big, they're not gonna let that affect them. They're like, I don't care. Like, your word doesn't mean anything to me. And you need to, like, so I just always, I knew that I had to like switch my mindset and make myself just feel more confident. And people honestly would gravitate towards that. They used to be like, oh, you're like such a confident person. Like, I want to be around you. You're very positive. And, you give compliments when they deserve to be, someone deserves to be complimented. And I'm like, yeah, of course. It just switched my whole mindset of everything. I mean, I just started, because I started believing everything about that. I am who I am. I love myself. I'm confident. I've accomplished a lot. I'm smart. I'm not dumb. I'm smart. And, it just, when I thought that and I was that positive, everything else is just falling into place. Yeah. And people were, want to hang out with me, and it's just like everything just started happening. Everything was just a clearer path for me. And, it was something that I thank you for, because it really opened up a lot of doors. Like, I can go into detail. Like, I'm here in LA, Santa Monica specifically. I'm in Santa Monica. It's like, I don't think I would have gotten here this fast if I wasn't self-confident with myself, or knew my own worth, or knew anything about what
it opened you up to opportunities that you wouldn't have taken, because there would have been a different path with all the negative self-talk and stuff like that.
And it would have been a lot of negative talk.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was told, and I'm pretty sure I shared with you. I don't remember.
Well, we'll find out.
But it was
right
just
now.
like, I would tell you, like, hey, you can't think of yourself that way. I was like, think of like your accomplishments, and how, like, how a normal person would just have folded under the same situation. But I also would say, like, speak to yourself in your own thoughts about, like, how you would speak to someone you really care about. You know what I mean? So you're treating yourself like someone you actually really care about, which is such a foreign concept to some people, especially myself. Like, I don't always do that. So it's like, you think about it, you're like, wow, like, I should, like, why is this other person so much more, able, why do they deserve my love and my care over myself? Which is fine. There's love and care to give to everyone, but your own self deserves to be talked to in the same manner, in the same kind of thought. So
I get what you're saying, Daddy. Yeah. It's like I think we talked about this before. It's like, how can you love someone else? You can't even love yourself. Yeah, it's like love yourself first, or like when the airplane, they said, like, don't put your mask on first before you put it on someone else. Yeah, and that's like the same thing. It's like you can't love someone you don't love yourself, because at the end of the day, if you don't love yourself, then you're going to be seeking for approval from someone to love you, but their love isn't going to mean anything. You can't even love yourself. It just doesn't work that way.
It'll be a constant...
like, you're seeking that.
Yeah, it'll be a constant battle of doubt and like Adam's saying, seeking self-worth from someone else. Oh, man, that's... And if you're relying on someone else to give you your own self-worth, it's not going to work. I mean, there are people in your life that will help support that and definitely make you feel better and help lift you up, which is great. But in the end, it has to be yourself that really has the realization and starts to have those conversations with yourself that are more positive and not negative.
You're your biggest enemy.
Yeah, you are. You're your biggest. I mean, anyone's always said that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you're right. You can ask for the love from someone else and seek it and keep getting it, but it's not going to mean anything if you can't even love yourself. I mean, it's just like you need validation all the time. And I mean, I'm sorry,
and honestly, that's like, tiring for some people.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's like, just like, really, do I have to validate you all the time? Like, it's like, learn how to, it's like, I mean, sorry, social media did mess up everyone with this instant validation and being validated if you don't have enough likes. That's why I kind of like stir away from it sometimes, because I'm like, I don't need the likes to know that I'm like, I look good, or I dress good. I can just look at myself in the mirror and I say, damn, I look good today, and just be happy with that. And that's all I need is praise for my own self. You just need to love yourself. So like, I rather have, myself tell me that and look at myself in the mirror and say that than someone else telling me like, oh, you look ugly today, or oh, you look good today. It's like, yeah, thanks for the compliment, but I know I look good. like knowing that it's not being like conceited or anything. It's just like you feel good, you look good, you know, it's just you feel better. And yeah, no, I do remember you telling me that though, Danny, about that stuff. So.
It's a hard concept to, but you brought up a really good example, like that I totally kind of, it was a longer route of what I was saying, but you kind of summed it up with, you can't really love someone else unless you love yourself is the perfect way to summarize it. And I think that really brings us all to a wrap on this, in the sense that like that's a big key to a lot of successes is really all this negative talk really is you not loving yourself, you not being happy with the way that you think that you are smart, the way they think that you look, the way that you think that your voice sounds, like, you know, just the list can go on. And you really just have to learn how to be changing that conversation to start to love yourself, to start to love the things about yourself that make up you. And you brought up a good point. It's like, you know, if you're trying to always seek this from someone else, it's never going to be fulfilled. And then you're always going to be wondering, like, going to the next relationship or going to the next whatever to try to find that. And you're really not, you may find it for a little bit, but it's not going to last, because they're going to get tired, like you were saying.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah,
I've been there with plenty of relationships where I was like, that's all I was seeking was that love, but it's like, I won't even love myself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, how can someone love me?
So it really changes the whole mindset on it, but basically, you know, that we kind of wrapped up the conversation there. We really wanted to see how you guys feel. Like, are you guilty of that? 'Cause we know we both are. So like, are you guilty of the negative self-talk, and have you ever tried to kind of like change that behavior, or at least acknowledge that it was happening? If you have, let us know on social media, in a comment on YouTube on this podcast, or even on a comment like in, you know, just via our email on social media. Let us know. We always like to see what people think and hear how we're affecting or making an impact on other people, and like them having that moment, be like, oh yes, like that is me, or I've done that. You know, it's cool to kind of relate to other people and know that the same thing's happening to other people as well. And we hope to just, you know, help anyone with this message to kind of maybe get their mind thinking and be like, wow, like this is something that I do. Maybe I should try to kind of change that. And if it's just one person that we can help change, that's amazing. That's exactly what we were trying to put this out there for. So we really do appreciate you guys listening. Again, if you wanted to follow us on social media, you can at B_Laconic. That's B_Laconic, both on Instagram and on Twitter. And of course, our podcast is on YouTube. You can see a video version of this podcast as we're recording it live. Yes. And we'll wave to the camera right now. But you can see a video version of this podcast on YouTube. And it is also available where regular podcasts are streamed on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, stuff like that. So there's also a link on our Instagram if you wanted just a direct link. It's in our bio on Instagram, so you can just sub directly for whatever service that you use. There's a little link tree there for that. So we do thank you guys again for listening, and we hope to hear from you guys, and we'll be back soon with another topic, and hopefully we got an interview coming up next time, so that we can have one of our first interview episodes.
Yeah, we got to get one of those in. This juicy, nice little interview.
But we're excited. 2021's off to a pretty great start, and we're looking forward to some more topics and conversations and just getting this new year started. But anything else? Any closing comments?
No, I'm just and once again I'm gonna say again, I do appreciate the feedback and comments, and you know, having people tell me that what they did for their goals, or thank you for giving me that tip. I appreciate it. It makes me feel good, and I hope this video or you know, podcast actually, you know, comes across someone and they take it and they learn from it, and that's all we're here for. We're here to teach you and you know, open your eyes to something and ears to something. So thanks for listening, you guys, and we will catch you guys on the next
podcast.
Podcast.
See you later.